Hey everyone, it's Jenny.
다음부턴
I've been getting
조심해.
some really thoughtful questions from you guys about season 1, and these are such interesting questions that require understanding Korean cultural and social context. I'm really happy to be able to answer them. Today, I want to address 3 main questions that came up. So let's dive right in. First question. Was Si-eun actually sick as a kid? One subscriber noticed that his father asks, "Did you faint again?" And Si-eun responds, "I don't faint anymore." Then in class 2, he faints during that car accident, even though the truck didn't hit him that hard. Well, I haven't done a proper deep dive into the script book yet. I'm still skimming through it quickly. So let me try to answer your curiosity. Based on what I saw in the drama, and also drawing from this other subscriber's thoughtful comment. They pointed out that when little Si-eun overhears his parents fighting, they're clearly arguing about whether they should have had him at all. His dad was asking mom where she was when their son broke his arm, and she shot back that she agreed to have him because they were going to raise him together. Dad said he hadn't known the boy would get hurt so much. Think about that for a second. Little Si-eun would have been convinced that he was unwanted after hearing that conversation. So he goes to his room, locks the door, and does math. That becomes his coping mechanism. If he focuses on schoolwork, nobody can hurt him, and maybe he can prove his worth. While watching the drama, I had fleeting thoughts that maybe Si-eun had some challenges as a child, but since the drama doesn't explicitly mention it, I just let it pass. But seeing this subscriber's deep comment made me think, that must be it, and I could really relate to their analysis. This subscriber suggested that Si-eun might be neurodivergent, possibly on the autism spectrum. Isolating himself, not communicating, focusing his whole life on one thing, becoming overwhelmed by outside stimulus. These could definitely be signs. And you know what? That would explain so much about why his achievement-oriented parents were disappointed and maybe even scared. Plus, thinking about Si-eun's posture throughout the series, Park Ji-hoon deliberately made him hunch his shoulders and curve his back. The actor said he observed that kids who suffer from school violence have this common trait of hunching over, so he incorporated that into his performance. So yeah, I think Si-eun probably got picked on not just in high school, but throughout elementary and middle school too. Being the nerdy kid who only studies, that makes you a target, especially if you're already dealing with other challenges. Now, about Beom-seok's family situation. Where are his mother and brother? Why is he always alone in that huge house? I'll revisit this after I properly read through the script book, but speaking in terms of Korean social context and cultural flow, seeing Oh Jin-won sleeping alone in that big bed made me think his real son and wife are probably living overseas. In Korea, it's pretty common for wealthy political figures to send their kids abroad for education, and usually the mom goes with them to take care of everything. But here's a new fact I discovered recently since I enjoy looking up director Yoo Soo-min's interviews. He basically confirmed that fans' theories about Beom-seok being alive in the Philippines are correct. The director said, "I actually think Beom-seok's study abroad wasn't running away. He didn't want to go, but Soo-ho was in an environment where it was hard to pay hospital bills. Only if he went could Soo-ho's hospital costs be resolved. So I think he went, even though he didn't want to, thinking of Soo-ho. I think this boy regrets it and learned a lot. And that just broke my heart, you know? Think about it. Soo-ho was in that private hospital room for almost 2 years, wearing an oxygen mask. Those medical bills must have been astronomical. Who else would pay for that? Remember Park Secretary's gentle threat to Beom-seok? If you want that friend to at least keep breathing, it would be good to listen to the assemblyman. That's exactly what happened. This boy went to the Philippines not because he wanted to escape, but because it was the only way to keep that boy who depends on oxygen machines alive. He's probably over there right now, quietly following orders and enduring it all. And the third question, can kids from completely different economic backgrounds actually attend the same school in Korea? Absolutely, and the show actually depicts this really realistically. Byeoksan High is located in Seocho district, which is one of Seoul's wealthiest areas alongside Gangnam. It's famous for academic pressure and high educational standards. But that doesn't mean only rich kids go there. If you watch episode 1 carefully, when Si-eun is walking to school at dawn, you can see banners at the school entrance showing how many students got into prestigious universities like Seoul National, Yonsei, and Korea University. That's typical for schools considered elite. They advertise their college admission results like trophies. But here's the thing about Korean high school admissions. Students usually go to schools in their district. Just because you live in Seocho doesn't automatically make you wealthy. So, having middle-class nerds, kids with economic difficulties like Suho, and wealthy families in the same school, totally realistic. Beom-seok originally attended Byeoksan High, which was probably a private school with high tuition where wealthy and political families send their kids. That's why Yongbin's gang called him a gold spoon when he transferred. Yoonjung. High in Season 2 is completely different. It's known as that kind of district area within Seoul where wealthy and working-class neighborhoods are mixed together. The show presents it as an alternative school that doesn't care much about academics. They were the only school in Seoul willing to accept Si-eun after he basically half-killed those kids. It's where problem students end up before juvenile detention, though not everyone there is necessarily a delinquent, just kids with lower academic performance. What I personally found impressive about these questions is how the drama tried to express these realistic aspects. The social and psychological details aren't just random. They felt like carefully thought-out elements that reflect real situations. That subscriber who keeps leaving these detailed analyses, they nailed something important when they said these two boys both resort to what they already know. Si-eun retreats into isolation and academic achievement because that's his survival mechanism. Beom-seok becomes desperate and clingy because he's never experienced unconditional love. And thinking about kids like these two boys, imagine growing up with such deficiency in the love and friendship department from day one, not receiving what they rightfully deserved. They can't afford to lose the one person who finally made them feel those emotions that only the word love can contain. When they lose their little hero, honestly, going ballistic makes perfect sense. So, I find it hard to agree with some people's view that Si-eun's final scene where he goes on a rampage with the fire extinguisher lacks believability. For me, it felt completely natural. Those emotions came through so vividly that I could feel them in my skin. One subscriber put it so beautifully when they said these characters kind of go ballistic. Given their backgrounds, they're explosive. Reactions aren't unrealistic at all. If anything, they could have made even more extreme choices. Keep these thoughtful questions coming. You guys are making me see layers in this story that I missed on my first few watches. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time!